Thank you for joining in to another one of my videos in my penetration testing series. In this video, we are going to go through, I guess you could say, quote-unquote, the entire penetration testing cycle from boot to root on a CTF, or a capture the flag machine. And this video is actually intended for those studiers out there for Security Plus, Network Plus, Certified Network Defender, and maybe even possibly Certified Ethical Hacker. So it's my main aim is to bridge academic learning into real world application. So in the sense that you guys may know what a vulnerability is, you may know what an exploit is, but how would you use it in context? And in the same cases, like how would you apply the results of a network scan into your process, and where do you go from there? So by illustrating how I go through it, hopefully you guys can align a couple of your learning points or your study domains into a cohesive structure. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Right in front of me is 2019.4 Linux, the most recent Linux version out there. Let me go ahead and open up a terminal here, and let me go ahead and save your eyes and make that font a little bit bigger. All right, the very first phase that we're going to go through is host discovery. I know that there's a machine on my network that is vulnerable, but I have not looked at it yet. I have not looked at it yet to find its IP address. So the host discovery portion here, since we are on a local network, I'm going to go ahead and run an arp-scan. And what this basically does is sends a broadcast of ARP messages to an entire broadcast domain and listens for everything that has a response. Okay, so taking a look at here, I have 10.0.0.29 as my only eligible system. I know this because 10.0.0.1, 2, and 3 belong to VirtualBox. One is a DHCP server, one is the default gateway. So therefore, by process of elimination, 10.0.0.29 must be the only system out there. Okay, let's go ahead and go through another one here. For those of you guys that have been studying, you guys know that nmap allows for host discovery. And one of the easy tools for host discovery is the -sn, which does a combination of ARP and ICMP scans against your network. Now for this, I am going to go ahead and specify my entire networks. Utilizing the /24 or /24 solder notation. It'll tell me it's a scan the very last bit. So everything on the host here, but it will scan from 0 to 255 from here. That's including the network ID as well as the broadcast IP address. So let's go ahead. Do that right now. It should take a couple of seconds because it will be sending those ICMP and ARP packets themselves. Okay, the output may not be as friendly as the above output right there, but typically it will give us the same results. It gives us the IP address, and it does also give us latency or how fast or slow the machine is responding. They are in the sub-milliseconds category because they are on the same broadcast domain, and additionally they're on virtual machines, so it should be extremely fast. So 1, 2, 3. As the same before, as illustrated up above right there, we do have 10.0.0.29 machine, and then we have a 10.0.0.17. 10.0.0.17 is my own IP address. Okay, so before we get started here, just to keep things organized, I'm going to go ahead and make a directory mkdir for all the outputs that I have. Make dir, let's just call this CTF. Okay, we'll just call this make dir CTF. I'm going to go CD into CTF itself, and it has nothing in there. Okay, so we now know that 10.0.0.29 is the IP address that we are going to attack. Let's go ahead and scan it. Let's go ahead and further our knowledge of the system aside from IP address. So as of right now, all we know is the IP address of the system we are attacking. We need more information in order to evaluate the security posture of this machine. So again, we're going to go through the scanning phase. So let's go ahead and do nmap. Very basic scan, nmap 10.0.0.29 is the machine that we're going to be running an nmap against. And lickety split, look at that. We have ourselves some ports that are open. So we know that ports 21, 22, and 80, and also 10,000 are open. However, it does not really give us very much information. If I take a look at this, if I take a look at this information, I know that port 21 is typically associated with FTP, SSH, and HTTP, respectively, whatever they're labeled over here. However, it doesn't really tell me what type of server is running or what version of the server is running on each one of those particular ports. I'm going to need that information in order for myself to do any type of vulnerability analysis and also some enumeration steps. So let's go ahead and run nmap and make it a more granular scan. For those of you guys that are unfamiliar with nmap, I do want to make sure that you guys start using nmap and develop some good habits when it comes to nmap. So in this particular case, let's just go ahead and say nmap. I want you to run SV or run versions. Run versions. Also do an application scan. Give me more information about this particular server, and then I'm going to go ahead and -O for output into a normal output, and let's just call this Hackerfest 2019 nmap, and then I'm going to go ahead and specify .29. This should take a maximum of maybe 1 or 2 minutes in order for this to go through, because we are running scripts against this particular host, and it will take some time to enumerate all those services. So we'll just give it a moment over here. We'll go from there. Additionally, I could probably open up Firefox right now. I could probably open up Firefox right this very moment and go to the port 80 here, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. I don't want to, I've been known to go way too fast. So let's go ahead and just let's pump our brakes and just wait for the output to come out. While we're waiting for the output to come out, I just want to call out and thank you to my sponsors. I'm just kidding, I have no sponsors. But this episode is brought to you by the letters C, T, and F, and additionally the numbers 5, 6, and 7. All right, so here we go. We have the output for this particular file, and for this particular file. But the great thing about this is that I can now cat hf 2000 cat hf 2000 whatever the output file name I gave this for. I can cap this. And it's displayed. So if I clear this, maybe you guys can see that. If I clear this and I cat hf 2019, what I saved the file to, gives me the record of my actual scan. So I don't have to run the scan again, and chances are probably, if you're like anything like me, you'll probably close out a window and lose your results. So I have made it a habit of putting my nmap results into an output file. And for those of you guys that want to know more about nmap, I'll release a more in-depth and more complete video a little bit later. All right, so now, in contrast with what we saw earlier, where it just told us what the port numbers are open, nmap here, the output here, tells us what version of the services we're running. So in this case, we knew that we were running FTP, that was running on port 21. However, we now know that the version is VSFTPD 3.003. On top of that, we ran some scripts to enumerate the service. And it told us that anonymous FTP login was allowed on this particular server, which is more often than not a mistake. Now, on top of that, it also tells me, based on my experience, that what we have here is WP admin, WP blog header. This tells me that WordPress is running, or there is WordPress content on this particular server. Now, WordPress is a CMS or a content management system. What it does is it allows for the network administrator, or actually I should say the web administrator, easy and quick access to web content via a series of plugins, and etc., etc. However, WordPress is notorious for being very vulnerable. Now, to tie that into what you guys have been studying, typically when you make something more usable, that adds more attack surface. But let's go ahead and keep on moving on down here. All right, so we know that this is the FTP version. Okay, SSH is running, OpenSSH 7.4. Okay, we know that WordPress is sitting on top of an Apache server here, version 2.4.25. Best guess is it's a Debian, making it a Linux system. Okay, making it a Linux system, fantastic. Okay, keep on moving on down. Looks like that port 10,000 itself has an HTTPD service on it, and it looks like our particular Linux kernel that we're running is between 3.2 and 4.9. Okay, and on top of that, additionally, we also have a traceroute information, not very salient in this particular scenario because this machine is on the same broadcast domain, as this computer. It's not going to show any hops. From point A to point B, from attacker to victim. Okay, so let's go ahead and go from there. Now I know my attack surface that I'm using, that I will try to figure out right now, is probably WordPress. However, let's do our due diligence and open up Firefox. Okay. Open up Firefox, and we are now over at 10.00.29. This is, for those of you guys that don't know, this is a very default looking WordPress page here. Looks like we don't have anything here. We can try to find some hidden text. Robots.txt. Okay, robots.txt. Again, Apache 2.425 running on Debian. Okay. Confirmation of what we already knew, what was running on this system over here. Okay, replace admin, WordPress admin. Okay, cool. So another confirmation over here, WordPress admin. And how did I know that? I just knew that because one, we had this directory. Over here of WordPress admin, and we can do something like try admin. Okay, so what we're looking at right now is we have access to the admin page. We don't know what the login here is. We could do a couple of things like a brute force. We can do a brute force attack against this particular web page using something like brute or THC Hydra, but I don't want to go there right now. What we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to try to find more information about this WordPress server itself. So now I have chosen to actively disengage from attacking the ESFTPD and the HTTP server, but I want to focus more on WordPress itself because I know that that has an attack surface associated with it. So what I'm going to use to enumerate this service further is a tool that we have in Kali Linux called wpscan. wpscan itself. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead to do --URL, HTTP 10.00.29. Very basic. It should scan all the plugins that we have running on this particular computer, or host, I should say, host. I'm trying to say host. Let's say host, station, whatever. I'm going to start harking on myself to use proper terminology. No more use of the word box. All right, so wpscan, scan this URL, give it a tag, and let's take a look at what the output is going to be. All right, output is going to be, let's see here. All right, so it tells us a little bit of information about this. It's it's similar to something like Nikto, but it's more exclusive for WordPress rather than the server itself. All right, found direct access to direct access to the Pingback API. Gives us more points to say that this is running Apache 2.425. Okay, looks like the confidence for this find is 100%, so I'm very, very happy about that. Okay, looks like we have a README file. Okay, you know what? This looks interesting. Let's go over to the README file over here. 10.00.29. 10.00.29 readme.html tells me what? Okay. Wow. Okay. Looks like this is just a standard README file on the PHP on the WordPress server itself. Okay. Let's keep on going. Cron. Interesting. More themes. Okay. All right. All very standard stuff, but one thing does stand out to me. I'm going to go ahead and minimize this for visual aesthetics here, so we can actually see what's behind here. Looks like looks like what we found over here. WP Google Maps, the plugin, is a plugin that's installed in this computer right now. This version is out of date. The latest version is 8001. Okay, version 7.002. 50% comp. So not 100% sure about this particular version. So I'm going to move this to the side. Meta key right. We'll move it to the side there, and I'm going to go ahead and de-emphasize this, and I'm going to make it make the font size a little bit smaller. I'm going to open up another terminal window over here, make the font size larger for it. All right, so this is interesting. So we found a plugin. We found a plugin on WordPress. The WP Google Maps plugin that is out of date. We can then go through our vulnerability assessment phase. Now we can use something like searchploit. Let's see, Google. Searchploit Google and try to find more information like that, or maybe Google Maps itself. And what searchploit does is basically it's a database of exploitable features. Now over here, we're going to go jump into that some other time. But what we're going to do right now is just try to limit the number of tools that we're using and just try to streamline this. Now, there are plenty of ways to do things. There are plenty of ways to do things in Kali and in Linux in general. That's a great and powerful thing about Kali Linux. We can do multiple things multiple ways. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my favorite tool, which is going to be MSF Console, or otherwise Metasploit. MSF Console. MSF Console has a database of exploits as well. So let's go ahead and search that. All right, here we go. And the very best part of Metasploit is coming up right now, and that is the banner. I'll keep on going. Let's spend a little bit of time. You can't do this without getting to the cow. Keep on going. Maybe it's good luck. All right, one more. Come on, one more. Huh? All right, so we don't have the cow, but we do have a duck. I am happy with that. Let's just go ahead and do this. Now, but notice over here, Metasploit has 1,951 exploits, 1,091 auxiliaries for scans and whatnot, and 558 different payloads, etc., etc. We'll go through that a little bit more. But that is a ton of exploits on this machine. So let's go ahead and search for Google Maps. All right, so it looks like over here we have auxiliary admin HTTP, WordPress, Google Maps, SQLI, in injections, SQLI. So there's a SQL injection or a SQL injection attack against this particular plugin, and the description is WordPress Google Maps plugin SQL injection. What do we have here? We have ourselves WordPress Google Maps. Okay, let's try to find out more information about this particular plugin. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's get more information about it. All right, WordPress Google Maps plugin is the name. Okay, gives us some options over here that we'll need to set if we do decide to use this. But this is the description. This module exploits SQL injection vulnerability in a REST endpoint. Otherwise REST APIs, or Advanced Programming Interfaces, registered by the WordPress plugin, WordPress Google Maps between 7.1.1 and 7.1.1.7 versions, as the table prefix can be changed by administrators. Okay, so SQL injection. So we're trying to grab information. There are the CVE details, or common vulnerability exposure details associated with this vulnerability. Okay, so good. Okay, so now we're saying that this is 7.1100 and 7.1117 doesn't exactly match up with this 7.1102. However, the confidence level could be wrong. There's a half a chance. There's a 50% chance this is wrong. So what I'm going to do is use this anyway. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use Control-Shift-V, the exact thing here. I'm going to use this. You can see that the MSF MSF is going to change because now that I have this admin HTTP WP Google Maps SQLI is loaded. So all I need to do, let's go ahead and take a look at options here. So what do I need to set? Let's see here. Remote port is what we're targeting, is port 80. Okay, that is perfectly good because we're communicating on port 80, but we don't have the remote host associated with it. So we need to set it. Set our host equals, well, 10.0.0.2.9, and that is basically all that we need to do. Let's just go ahead and try to exploit this machine. Okay. All right, awesome. So now let's see here, we find that there is, we found a user, this SQL injection gave us the username and his password via a bunch of queries from the database. Looks like we were able to find a username and a hash password. Now, with the hash password, we can either use this hash in a patch the hash technique, or we can try to crash it. Okay, so what do we do now? So basically what we're doing, okay, let's see if we're gonna go take a look, is we're trying to find a way to get in here. We're trying to find a way to get in here. We can try to see if this user, webmaster, okay, let's just paste that in there. Okay, it's not accepting the hash as a form of authentication, which is all fine and dandy. Okay, so what we can do, let's go ahead and save this file because chances are we're probably going to go try to crack it. Let's touch a file called webmaster hash. Okay, touch a file called webmaster hash. I'm going to go ahead and nano it webmaster hash, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and paste this into a file. And prepare it to be brute forced. Save the modified buffer, yes, right to that file, great. But at first I need to figure out what kind of hash this is, okay, what kind of hash this is. Now it looks fairly small, fairly short, so it would lead me to believe that it is using MD5, but let's go ahead and identify it. It's fairly short, so it makes me think it's MD5, but it has these dollar signs there, and these dollar signs is a prefix that a hash has a salt associated with it. So to identify that, let's go ahead and just use this program called Cache Identifier, Control-Shift-V over here, pasting that hash in there. It tells me that this is MD5 and a flavor of WordPress. So it's a WordPress hash, but built off of MD5. Let's go ahead and clear out of that now that I know this MD5 WordPress. Now I have the file in here. I have the file in here with the hash already in there. Let's go ahead and crack it. Now we can use John, we can use John, we can use Johnny, but for the sake of expediency, let's go ahead and use my favorite cracking tool out there, which is Hashcat. Now Hashcat HH here. Or actually, let me make this a little bit larger and save your eyes. Hashcat help, I should say. Hashcat dash help is what I should say. Will give us here. So let's go ahead and perform the attack on this. So let's go ahead and go Hashcat. Hashcat, I want you to attack with a, we'll say we're going to use a dictionary or wordless. Dictionary or wordless is going to be a straight through attack. A straight through attack here, so it's A0, and the mode in which we are attacking, or the encryption method that we are attacking, is going to be WordPress, MD5 WordPress. However, I need to have a numerical value that's associated with it. All the way towards the very top over here is going to be where all these numeric values are going to be. Now, if it was just plain old MD5, I would use 0. However, I'll need to hunt down. Basically what exactly aligns with WordPress MD5. Right, here we go. 400, WordPress MD5 400. It should work that way. Okay. Wait, was that 400 or 500? 400, right? Oh man, why? WordPress, yeah, 400. Okay. Okay, go down towards the very bottom over here. Okay, WordPress 400. Now it's going to go to the file itself. Okay, the file that I saved that is webmaster webmaster hash, and I need to point this over to a brute force file or a word list, I should say. In Kali Linux, the default WordPress directory is usr share wordlist, and of course the word list that's provided for everyone is rocku.txt. Now you can use something else. You can use something else with it. You can just download them off the net. Skull Security has tons of word lists, and additionally, GitHub has tons of word lists as well for your use. Now, since I am using a virtualized environment, I'm going to need to supply another argument to hashcat. That is -- force. One thing that I can do is I can SSH on over 10.0.0.29. SSH on over to 10.0.0.29 and specify that I'm going to be logging out as webmaster at 10.0.0.29. That should be good. Yes. And control. And what was that again? kittycat1. kittycat1. We are in the system right now under webmaster. Let me take a look over here. We are webmaster under this particular domain. We have the first flag ahead of us, cat flag, txt. Looks like we have that here. However, since we have this $sign right here, it tells us that we are a regular user on this system. So if I go into etc, try to cat the shadow file. If I try to cat the shadow file, permission is denied. Let's see, doubtful this won't work, but let's see, sudo cat shadow cat1. We're in. Okay, hold on. Sudo su. Oh, what a disappointment. Okay, looks like this video is going to be a lot shorter than what I thought it was going to be. I thought I was going to have to do a more privileged escalation here, but it looks like we have rooted the box. This box is en route. And there we go. We have now pwned the box. We can go into the var log, cat off log. Let's see here. Session opened by root. There we go. You can probably get rid of that, edit that, and go through all those other settings here. But effectively speaking, as of right now, we have root access. We own the machine. We own the narrative. All right. So if you learned something from this series, please do like, share, subscribe, and also ring that bell. I think I might do another one today. I was expecting to be working on this for quite some time, or a bit longer. So. Okay, tune in next time. See you guys later. Bye.